Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today we're going to react to the Haters Guide to the 2024 NFL Playoffs. This is by Urinating Tree. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The playoffs start today. Hopefully my parlays hit. Hopefully the Packers lose. That's all I'm hoping for. Only team I want to see lose is the Packers. All other teams, I don't really care as long as y'all hit them parlays for me. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get right into it.
This season was an acid trip. Instability and wonkiness in nearly every game imaginable. The year of the backup quarterback.
Facts.
In some cases, the third stringer. Or further than that. The Shield wants to squeeze every dollar it can out of the game, and it's showing in the quality of play. Every team sucks, everyone's a fraud, the league's product is shit, and there are only about 2 or 3 teams that might be competent. Endless trash abound. Let's put the victims on stage and roast them over a fire. What have you done, NFL? They made it? With one of the worst offenses in recent history for most of the year. With fans clamoring to burn Canada to the ground at hockey games. Featuring a defense starting old guys from the couch at linebacker and a secondary made of yarn and scotch tape. Don't tell me the bullshit isn't real. The standard must be maintained at any cost, and it's morphed into fringe playoff contention and getting destroyed by real teams. The boil on the league's ass. Imagine escaping death by means of defensive splash plays, fluke bullshit, and Deus Ex Machina. Now make that a team's entire philosophy. You have Pittsburgh. Blessed with Mason Rudolph, the red zone reindeer, and a running game suddenly gaining traction, you have a team that rivals their late 80s counterpart. Squarely on the carousel of mediocrity with no end in sight. And they'll have to ride it without TJ Watt as well. The team is complacent. They'll take the wrong message from this playoff berth, and nothing's going to change when a lot of things desperately need to. Fuck it, they're going to the Super Bowl. With seeking. Sometimes nothing matters.
I'm about to say, the fuck you mean?
One of the flashiest offenses in the league, an improved defense, and Super Bowl hype for weeks on end.
Damn.
But you know what happens? Fate takes a gigantic shit all over your hopes and dreams.
Yep.
And most of your offensive line. And most of your defensive playmakers. And wide receiving talent. A team that could put up 70 points on a foe suddenly stripped of their greatest assets. And that defense of theirs had a lot of question marks before this moment in time. Can Vic Fangio perform miracles? I doubt it. The high-flying offense of theirs can still soar, but they forgot to install an off switch. When it doesn't work, it's firing blanks. Remember the Titans? Denzel would facepalm at that collapse. The smell of death is in the air. Its putrid stew just added a blown AFC East Division title to it. The haters think you're a Tyreek merchant, Tua. They think you're a system QB, Tua. They think you're Nick Mullins with a Polynesian flair, Tua. Will you prove them wrong? Before week 1 this season, Jamar Chase declared the Browns to be nothing more than a bunch of elves. He was correct. Little did he know that these weren't the kind Keebler elves that make delicious cookies and can get bullied for rent money. They got their cousins, the brutal, unforgiving dark elves that are experts in warfare and defending their homeland. Powerful weapons and deployments ambushing any poor souls that dare trespass. This ain't your Joe Woods sieve this year. You get the shit-wrecking Jim Schwartz formations. Their general's surprisingly not Nick Chubb nor the $235 million Albatross. From couch to commander, Joe Flacco, the legend that this hectic-ass year has been begging for. An elite quarterback for an elite team. Only they weren't battered to all hell. The constant sieges on their land have taken a huge chunk of their manpower. Nearly everything is down to the bare bones, and reinforcements have been exhausted. The last stand of the elves is here. If they go down, they'll fight to the last man. If they die, they're taking you with them. You've been warned. Sometimes all it takes is a year to change the fortunes of a franchise. Last January, the Texans were a walking joke. Houston had just fired 3 coaches in 3 years, removed the cancerous tumor known as Jack Easterby, and pissed away the first overall pick by winning. We laughed at them for fucking their tank. Little did we know that Lovie Smith was doing them a favor. CJ Stroud is an absolute gem. A game-changing weapon that has helped to not only turn around the fortunes of a dying franchise, but give it superpowers. Winning the AFC South after years in the abyss? Jacksonville did collapse, but this is impressive as hell. They're a great story, but it's going to be a long shot to do anything at this level. Underneath the hood, this team's got a shot transmission, blown-out radiator, and a battery leaking acid. wrecked by injury on most fronts.
Pretty much.
Been playing with a patchwork offensive line for most of the damn year. Their defense has turned into a Frankenstein of salvaged parts. Can CJ and D'Amico Ryans pull off the miracle of miracles?
Probably
Be
not.
fun to watch if they could.
More than
Super Bowl
likely not.
hangovers, and then there's this. A championship run back and hype plenty relegated to the press box next to Taylor
They
Swift.
receivers are fucking
Is there any
terrible.
chance she can play split
That's
end?
the only problem with
Perhaps she can
Kansas
be the
City.
most reliable asset
Kansas
there.
City got to do
We
something
are
about
in
their
a
receivers, bro.
topsy-turvy
Their
world.
receivers are fucking
The
terrible.
defense is carrying the Chiefs to relevance. Let that sink in for a moment. A team with a supposedly great offense is highlighted by Chris Jones wrecking shit and L'Jarius Sneed's feed and seed. The rest of it is a completely unwatchable sludge pile. This team's assets are Patrick Mahomes 360 no-scopes hoping to God his receivers catch COVID and angry runs by Isaiah Pacheco. Andy Reid is stress-eating cheeseburgers on the sideline because this offense can't do a damn thing 80% of the time. Know what you're hearing? Chicago celebrating because Matt Nagy's butchering yet another offense. Maybe if they're lucky, Kadarius Toney and MVS will get their hands cut off. Their appendages would be the only things they drop. If not, it'll be like scheduling a wedding 2 days beforehand in July. Good luck with the reception. This has been quite the year for them, hasn't it? Yeah, let's just call it that. Almost to the point of reincarnating the bickering Bills. A vastly underachieving team, 6-6 and on the brink of death, key defensive pieces out on all three levels. Ken Dorsey burned at the stake for crimes against offense. Wondering if Stephon Diggs is truly pissed at the organization or simply putting on an act. The expose on Sean McDermott? A season as volatile as Josh Allen throwing the rock. Either a death-defying feat or pressing the instant death button in bright red. A lot of people are on Buffalo's side. The sleeper of the playoffs, they're declared.
Pretty much.
As long as they don't repeatedly get in their own damn way.
Yeah.
That has been the major flaw of this team for time eternal. Past the surface, you'll see a group that isn't exactly winning games, but merely escaping their own incompetence. If they reach their full potential, they could go far. But the playoffs aren't about ifs. They'll need Josh Allen at peak fire god abilities. Without Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White on defense, it's gonna be even tougher. They're as boom or bust as it gets. And with their lack of track record, I'm concerned that they'll never reach the boom. Everything is pointing to a rise of the Raven. Witness how they have not only beaten, but forced Super Bowl contenders to bend the knee to them and be amazed. Lamar Jackson having the best year of his career, flanked by receivers that can actually catch and a defense that stuffs everything that comes at them. And they're doing this
I would say
without
they're the
Mark
favorites
Andrews.
right now at the
There's
AFC.
a chance he might be able to return.
AFC, they my
because
favorite. They
they're
my
all but
pick
a
right
shoe-in
now
to
to go
represent
to
the
the
AFC
Super Bowl.
after years of pain and turmoil. But before then, there are many questions that Baltimore needs to answer. Can Lamar overcome his playoff stigmas? And can the Ravens consistently finish off games? The only thing that could stop this team from success are themselves. Problem is, I've seen it happen to them repeatedly. I just can't shake the feeling that they're gonna let me down somehow. Maybe it's old stereotypes, but it's been a repeated trend for them. Don't do that this time, yeah? The world was dancing on
Get
the
these
Packers'
fuckers
grave.
up out of here.
Aaron Rodgers took his hostage-taking act to New York for 4 days of darkness and 4 plays until darkness. Green Bay was 3-6 encircling death's door. And then the gods punished us for our arrogance. They blessed an incredibly spoiled fan base with yet another franchise quarterback. We were hoping his midseason struggles were the beginning of a long age of darkness, but it will be another long-term delay. Jordan loves doing this with a battered offensive line and injured wide receivers. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year, yet they still backdoored into the 7th seed that should not exist. Regardless of what happens from here on out, this season is a tremendous success.
Fuck you.
Despite this fortune, there's a terrorist in their ranks. For the Packers haters out there must be a yang to the yin. And that is Vanilla Joe Barry, the most wanted man in Wisconsin. His defenses are trash, his schematics are useless, and your quarterback is all but guaranteed to have a career day. Considering they're up against Dak Prescott, I have his over-under at 400 yards.
Let's go
and 4
Cowboys.
TDs. Enjoy your ass-kicking and learning experience, Green Bay. The football team were the epitome of mid. This year's Rams franchise is it. Take it as a compliment. It's nowhere near as bad as last season's train wreck. That round of form against weak opponents to end the year proves it. Years of fucking them picks have led to some quality late-round finds. Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, those guys are absolute gems. Add to it a completely rejuvenated Matthew and Cooper and Aaron Donald wrecking everything in sight, you have a team squarely in the mid-tier. But they're just not good enough to trust to go the distance. Especially with that pass defense and lack of takeaways. In the NFC, it won't stop them from trying though. Those poor fools. They don't know their outcome with limited strength, do they? If the Eagles are Super Bowl contenders, I'm Livy fucking done. We aren't even on fraud watch with these boys. This team fucking sucks.
Facts.
Good God, this is such an on-field abortion that it should be protected under Roe v. Wade. Where the hell do I begin? The offense that has never played up to its potential at all this season? The skill positions that are mangled by awful play call and underutilization? Or do we begin an uncomfortable conversation about how their $50 million quarterback has significantly regressed? And he's fighting injury along with A.J. Brown. Ban the tush push, why would you? It's the only damn thing Philly has. As long as you ignore the defense. Oh God. Let's put it this way. They thought that Matt Patricia was an upgrade. If Jalen Carter isn't wrecking things, your Pornhub levels are fucked. That linebacking core and secondary has turned into 3 Mile Island. Why should I stop? That defense ain't doing much of that on the field. They're the 2020 Steelers until proven otherwise. Even that might be generous. I have more faith in the Steelers to do something than these fuckers. Go lose in the first round by 20 and become a meme as his destiny. Then Nick Sirianni can scream and joy next year by beating a 5-win team by 2. Well, somebody had to win that pathetic excuse of a division. Tampa Bay wasn't necessarily good over the year. They simply sucked less than everyone else, so they host a home playoff game. It's an inspiring story to see Baker Mayfield come back from the dead. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are still fucking amazing at what they do. Just focus on those features and ignore the awful secondary that Todd Bowles has repeatedly thrown under a bus all year. Or their total lack of a running game. They're squarely in the mid-tier of franchises, but the Bucs are somehow in better shape than last year's disaster run. It's much less chaotic this time around. Mostly off the field if you ignore Devin White. On it, they're mercurial as hell. This is a team that had lost 6 of 7 and was left for dead in the middle of the year. Do we get that group or the one that rallied to win 5 of 6? Answering that question will dictate their future moving forward. Probably underneath the boot of one of the NFC elite. The curse is over. The Detroit Lions are no longer irrelevant. Years of turmoil circled by Fords and black ATVs have cleared out to a feast of kneecaps and intestines alike. Fortitude and resilience in spades. Countered by times where you wonder if they have enough to do anything at all. Jared Goff is a solid quarterback until he isn't. And then he becomes a turnover machine under an onslaught of defensive pressure.
Pretty much.
But he can still sling the rock to Amon-Ra, Jameson, and Sam Laporta. Gloriously injured Sam Laporta.
Fuck.
If there's a chance to do anything, this is a good year to do it. Dan Campbell will force it to happen, even if it goes against all form of logic and reason. Only if that defense was a concern. By God, they are a sponge. Porous and malleable, especially when wet. Get them on a bad day, they're giving up 30 points minimum. There are times where the Lions reek of a first-round exit. And if that happens again, it's gonna sting. They're simply happy to get back, but they'll die alive in the process. And it'll probably be in the mantra of Dan himself. Fuck it, keep going for it on 4th down. No exceptions. I'd say this is the worst timeline, but Eagles fans get to suffer, so I will accept the trade-off. Air raid sirens blare throughout the land. The insufferability of the Cowboys will soon consume us whole. A well-oiled offensive machine with Dak playing the best football of his career raining down on defenders. The likes of Tony Pollard, CD, and Brandon Cooks punishing those in front of them. A relentless defense that massacres anyone in their path. And those that escape, they're picked off by Deron Bland for a pick 6. No Trayvon Diggs, no problem. Dallas is a good team, but can they truly beat the best of the best? That's been their issue for a while, and there's a lot of pressure to overcome it. They're a near unstoppable force that can beat anyone at any given time. Except when they're on the road. Dallas goes from champ to chump in as much time as it takes Mike McCarthy to count to 20. Considering how he butchers game clock, it's not fast. This is it. Everything is lined up for this moment in time.
Facts.
Some of the best skill players and defenders in the
49ers and the Cowboys are the only two teams I see
that's the
coming out the
strongest it's ever been and can
NFC.
kill a team 20 times before they can even blink. There were people ready to crown them champions back in October, for crying out loud. Then the injuries started making people worry for a bit, but now everything's good to go, mostly. Their defense has been a bit banged up, especially in the secondary, but with all that talent, they look invincible. On paper. Do you know how you beat this team? Hold a lead. Dead serious, this is the organization's fucking kryptonite. They don't like the backdoor shenanigans as they can't come from behind. That or if Trent Williams goes down with injury. If he's out, the offense suddenly regresses to high school form. Suspicions and past reputations aside, the expectations are sky high for this group. Will they finally get it done? As long as Brock Purdy's elbow isn't ravaged by his haters or a screaming pass rusher again, they should. Keyword is should. When you reach that final gauntlet, you have to find that extra gear. Despite how it may look on the surface, considering this year's been full of unpredictability on any given Sunday, I'm expecting some rather unusual results. I look forward to the memes. And yes, I know none of you are looking forward to this next segment. So who do I curse with the jinx this time around? Should be easy, but I'm starting to overthink this because why go after the obvious picks? It feels like it's bait. I don't know why, but it's gonna lure me into a trap. Knowing how every team has glaring flaws, I'm just gonna say Cowboys versus Chiefs. Why? Because nothing makes any goddamn sense. Just roll with it. I'm trying to as well, boys.
Final play, it looks like barring a penalty. Gets smoked right away, and that'll do it for the 49ers.
Oh, man. That shit from last year was fucking terrible. Why would you throw a short pass? That shit was so fucking stupid. Cowboys, y'all deserved to lose last year. But anyway, so just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Till then, peace out.